Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown along the way. Okay, so today I want to go back to what I was doing a couple days ago, which is reading inspiring quotes and memes, and are they memes or are they quotes? I don't know, I still don't know. Somebody said they're not memes, they're quotes. I guess memes are like funny things. So quotes, I just want to read these quotes that I found. I just like roll through Instagram and I find all these quotes. I'm like, oh my God, some of them I reshare on my Instagram. Others I just like screenshot and I, keep on my phone to inspire me and to motivate me and to remind me of where I'm at in my life today, or on the bad days, to just remind me of where I've come from and where I'm at today and where I'm going. I need some of that inspiration. It's why I like to read the meditation books and the positive affirmations and things like that. So anyway, there's two that I want to cover today, and one is very short and something that I found on Instagram, and the other is actually something that somebody posted in the Vloggerinos group. And I read it, and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. This is kind of a lot about what I've been talking about recently with, like, removing toxicity from your life, setting boundaries and limits in your life, and things like that. And so I thought I would read it for you, and then I will tell you what I thought about it when I read it, because I thought it was a good quote. The first one that I found on Instagram, and it said, it's just like all in like bold, the print, and it says, delete the old version of me in your head. It expired. New rules. And, this is interesting to me because this is kind of what I've been going through the last year of my life. I've been going through, people on some of my other channels refer to them as eras, like Taylor Swift, but I've been going through like these changes and these different eras, I guess, of my life, all like in 1 year, right? And I've changed so much in the last year. And, I think people think I overshare online or I share too much, but there's so much that I don't share online too. There's so many things that I don't ever share online, things that I do in my life, people that I talk to, people that are in my life that are very important to me that I don't share. I also don't share a lot of the internal work that I've done online. I share enough of it to help other people or to share my story, but I don't share all of it, And if I laid it all out for you and I showed you, like, from the day that I got sober to then, 2 relationships, my mom passing away, leaving a 13-year career, to then, meeting my husband, getting married, our marriage almost falling apart, almost getting divorced, entering marriage counseling, working on our marriage, repairing our marriage, working on being bullied, working on this, working on that, and then the accident happening, which was profound to my life, and then trying to figure out who I was after that and where I wanted to go, and I was in this constant state of guilt, remorse, and punishment of myself. And so, then having the honor and the privilege of speaking to a family member and being relieved of that, and then I kind of didn't know what to do after that. Like, I didn't know, because I was in this constant state of this, right? And had pancreatitis in the middle of all of that. There was so much that went on behind the scenes that I never really shared online, that I feel like I changed 400 times in the last year. I really do. Like, I feel like where I was a year ago is not who I am today, is not who I'm going to be tomorrow. And I love in the movie, there's a sequel to The Last Picture Show, the movie with Sybil Shepherd, and the sequel to it is called Texasville. And there's a part in it where Annie Potts is laying in bed, and she's talking to her husband. He comes into the room, and he says, something's different about you. And she specifically says this just about women, but I think it's true of a lot of people. And she says, women change so many times throughout the day, and you don't even notice it. You just think that we're the same person. I feel like that's very true of my journey the last year or two, is that I have like changed so many times throughout the day. My opinion changes, my mind changes. 1 second I'm crying, the next second I'm laughing. 1 second I'm angry and bitter, the next second I'm forgiving. It's like I'm constantly changing and evolving into this different person. But there are people in my life that still hold me to this expectation of who I was when I was 25 years old, right? Or they still think that I'm going to act or respond to things the way that I did 3 years ago. Or they still think that I'm going to act and respond to things the way that I did 4 months ago. But I'm not that person today. That person's left the building. He's no longer here, you know? I don't know what you're expecting from that person because that person's gone. It's a new person that you're sitting in front of. And this person might not be here tomorrow. This person might not be here from 2 days from now. I might be a different person then, you know? And I think that that's the most amazing thing about life is that we're forever changing and growing and evolving. But people want to hold us to the standards of who we were at this point in time, at that point in time, and expect, you know, that we're not going to change from that. I can tell you that I've had this said to my face a couple times throughout the last 29 years since I've gotten sober. I've had friends of mine come up to me and we'll be talking and they'll say, you've changed. Something's different about you. And not in a good way, right? And it's always interesting to me because it's typically in a situation where they want me to get fired up about something, very gossipy or whatever, that I'm just not fired up about. I just don't have the energy for it anymore, you know? I've been talking a lot about that in my videos recently, is that I'm very guarded with where I put my energy and where I give my energy. And there's a lot that I just don't have energy for anymore, you know? I'm not giving energy to things that don't matter anymore. I'm just not. My life is such a gift, and I just feel so blessed beyond belief to even be here that I'm not going to just give my energy away to people and things that don't matter. I'm not, period, end of story. It's just not worth it to me, right? And so it's interesting to me when I look back, and the majority of those people are not in my life anymore, you know? And I can remember, you know, with 2 of them asking them, well, what's changed about me? I don't know, like, you used to get so mad about this and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just don't have it in me anymore, right? You know, my drama channel, I get very heated and I get very passionate about stuff because in the moment I can. When my husband and I are watching, you know, like Vanderpump Rules reunion, like last night we watched it, I get very much the same way, you know. I think people think that because I'm talking about a specific person on a specific video, that I am that heated and that passionate about that person. I can be that passionate about something for the moment, right? But then I turn off the camera or I turn off the TV and I've left it behind and I go on and I watch The Walking Dead or, you know, listen to a cozy mystery or take a nap or whatever. I don't become consumed with it. Back in the day, I allowed myself to become consumed with anger, rage, fear, misery, resentment, and things like that. I just don't have it in me today, you know? And I will say that the people around me are also ever-changing and ever-growing and acknowledge that, and I acknowledge it in them, and they acknowledge it in me. And we actually encourage change and growth in each other. Compared to the people in the past, and I'm sure many of you out there have people like this in your life today, and I know when I make this video, somebody out there will say, I needed to hear this video today, right? When people expect you to behave and act the same way that you did 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, a month ago, a week ago. Those are people that do not love you, okay, completely, unconditionally, because if they did, they would love you for all your changes and all your growth. Those are people that want to put you in a box and keep you up here on a shelf. They want you exactly how they want you and when they want to take you down and use you. They don't want to just be able to accept the fact that you're going to change and grow and evolve as a person. That's scary to them, right? They needed to depend on you always being this person, and typically that person for me was a doormat. Okay? It's when I start challenging people or I start questioning things that people have an issue with it. It's when I'm no longer willing to give energy to things that don't matter that people have an issue with it, right? Like, why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he getting upset about this? I don't have the energy for it anymore. There are things that are more important to me in my life, you know? Like my little dog. My little dog is more important to me than half the things I stressed out about for the last 51 years of my life. Period, end of story, you know? And, you know, it's interesting to me when people expect you to act a certain way based on, and they'll say to you, you've changed. And that's not, they'll say it to you like it's not a good thing, right? And then you start questioning in your head, like, well, have I changed in a bad way? Am I not a good person anymore? Like, what has changed, right? Which is why you always need people that will keep it real with you. Like my best friend, like I've gone to her several times, you know, the last 20 years and said to her, so-and-so said to me, I changed this. And she'll say to me, they're fearful of it. Like it's scary for them. They don't know who this new Peter is that you're evolving into. They don't know this Peter that stands up for himself and doesn't, you know, go along with the norm and all this kind of stuff. This person that stands up for himself today, like they're not used to that, right? They're used to the Peter that will just take crap from everybody, and you're not that person today. You have confidence today. You stand up for yourself. You stand up for what's right. And, you know, you need people like that in your life that will tell you that, because you can start questioning if you have enough people around you. People want to keep you in a box. They want to keep you where you are safe for them. Well, that's selfish on their part, and those are not people that I have found in my life that love me. They don't love me unconditionally, because if they love me unconditionally, they would love me as I change and grow, you know? And sometimes change and growth is not pretty. Sometimes change and growth does not look, like a parallel line. Sometimes change and growth doesn't look the way we want it to look, When you build muscle, you have to break it down and rebuild it first, right? Well, the same goes for who we are as people. We sometimes have to be broken down before we can build ourselves back up again. That doesn't always look pretty. People don't like things that don't look pretty, right? And so when you're struggling and you're going through something and you're, standing up for yourself, doing this and doing that. I'm not just talking about online. I'm talking about in my personal life for the last 20 years, right? And you're doing all that kind of stuff. And you're challenging people that say things that you don't like. It's tough for people. They don't like it, right? They like pretty. They want you in that box where they know when they take you out of the box exactly what you're going to say. Well, baby, I don't live in a box today, right? And there's a new version of me and there's new rules. And those rules might be different tomorrow, so keep up, right? And the same goes for you. You have a right to change and grow into whoever you are. And their expectations of you are exactly that. Those are their expectations of you, not rules for yourself. You get to decide what rules you live by, not somebody else. That's the freedom that we live with today. So I wanted to read that one first because I love that one. Delete the old version of me. The next one is from somebody on the Vloggerinos group, Denise. She posted this about self-acceptance, and I love this. And it says, self-acceptance. You don't need anyone's affection or approval in order to be good enough. When someone rejects or abandons or judges you, it isn't actually about you. It's about them and their own insecurities, limitations, and needs, and you don't have to internalize that. Your worth isn't contingent upon other people's acceptance of you. It's something inherent. You exist, and therefore, you matter. I love this. You're allowed to voice your thoughts and feelings. You're allowed to assert your needs and take up space. You're allowed to hold on to the truth that who you are is exactly enough. And you're allowed to remove anyone from your life who makes you feel otherwise. And I think this is so important because I think for a long time, not only did I seek the validation of men around me, and I think that if I always had a boyfriend on my arm, that made me feel like I was good enough, right? Which was the definition of codependency, and I had to work on that in therapy and, and inventory and with my sponsor and things like that to really work on this need that I had that if I didn't have a man next to me, I wasn't good enough. And when I almost lost my husband because we were headed towards divorce, that was when I had to question it. When my therapist said to me, if you guys don't make it, will you be okay? Well, no, I won't be okay. Well, eventually you will, right? Well, yeah, eventually. So you don't need Alex. No, I don't need him. So you'll be just fine on your own. And then what I realized was we chose to be with each other in this relationship, and that's so powerful. I would rather have somebody choose me than me to be dependent on them. Well, then what I realized through that was that my self-worth was never defined by whether or not somebody thought I was good enough. It was never defined by what somebody else thought about me. I know the truth of my story. I know my worth. I know that. And deep down, the reality is, all of you do too. When I love that line from in the movie Pretty Woman when he tells her that she's beautiful and she says the bad stuff is easier to believe. When somebody tells you something long enough, you start to believe it. Don't believe it. Don't let that tape run in your head. I let that tape run in my head for years and years and years where I let myself believe other people's bullshit, where people would say stuff about me and I would start questioning the validity of my own truth. I'd start being like, well, maybe they're right, or, it's something that they're saying. And I'm like, you know who you are. And, I've gone through a lot of shit in my life, and I've shared a little bit of it on this video today, but I've gone through a lot of shit in my life where I've really questioned my goodness, if I deserve to be here anymore, whether I should be here anymore. I've questioned a lot of that, right? And at the bottom of all of that, is this very small voice that I can hear deep down inside, and I think most of us can, right? That says you're good enough. The thing is, we can't speak that into truth a lot, right? Because it's all the other noise that's around us. It's all the other noise of people telling us, you're not good enough, you're not a good person, you're a bad person, you're this, you're a liar, you're a scam, you're a bad person, you've done bad things, right? And they just tell us that. But there's still that voice deep inside that says you're a good person. I'm here to tell you today, you're a good person. Now, you might be like me, and you might be a good person that's done a lot of bad things, but you can make up for those bad things, right? Or you might be a good person that's never done any bad things at all. So quit believing what other people tell you. Your definition of yourself is not defined by other people. They don't get that choice. They don't get to define who you are. Only you get to do that. Nobody else gets to tell you who you are. You know who you are. You know the truth of your own story. Whether you share it or you don't share it is up to you, you know? Like I said, there's a lot I share online. There's a lot of things I don't share online, you know? Whether you share it and tell another soul is on you. But we each one of us know our own truth, and we know our own story, right? Don't ever convince yourself you're not worthy. Don't ever convince yourself you're not worth it. Each one of us, like, I love the line in here where it says, you're allowed to assert your needs and take up space. Each one of us that is breathing air today is allowed to take up space. That is our right. That is our right today. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you don't belong somewhere, you don't do this or whatever, you know? That was one of the things I loved about going to a 12-step meeting. Nobody could tell me I couldn't show up there. Anybody that thinks that, tells you that a 12-step meeting, they'll kick people out, or what, that's not true. They cannot tell somebody. When I started going there, when I heard that, I was like, they can't kick me out. I can't do anything to get, I loved that, right? I mean, I didn't do anything to get kicked out, but I loved that. I love that idea, this overall acceptance, right? That will accept you where you're at. And that's one of the things that we've stopped doing in this world, is with the previous message that I read and this one, we've stopped accepting people where they're at, you know? And trying to look at who they are today. We just expect these things of them from this box that we put them in 20 years ago. Don't let anybody box you in. Don't let anybody define for you who you are and what your life is about. You get to determine that. That's one of the most amazing freedoms we have. Let me know what you think about all that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.